As President Biden and Micron President Sanjay Mehrotra on the newly signed CHIPS legislation. And we want to get more on that bill now, which includes about $52 billion to boost domestic semiconductor research and development. Keith Krach is chairman at the Krach Institute for Diplomacy. He previously served as the U.S. Undersecretary of State. $52 billion is a fair amount of money. Chip makers right now are doing quite well with profits. There's some concern that, this money will be spent, but will it really be spent most efficiently? How do you answer that concern?
Yeah, I mean, it's very targeted. So if you look at, the United States invented the semiconductor business. And we lost the capability, not to design, we're still the leaders in that, but in terms of manufacturing, now only 12% of the world's semiconductors are manufactured in the United States. So this really brings it back because pretty much all the other nations subsidize it in a big way because it's so strategic. So this is really important, and it's important to maintain that lead in design and also in the semiconductor equipment, all the tools that go along with that. So since we onshored TSMC, Intel announced an additional $20 billion, and then Samsung came over with $17 billion. Today, Micron announced $15 billion, and then now Intel's going to do, it could be up to $100 billion in the state of Ohio, which is in the middle of the country, and the ecosystems are coming along with it. So that $12 billion onshoring is going to result in $350 billion of investment in the semiconductor business and the jobs and the training that goes along with it.
Keith, there are going to be jobs created, but I think, as Kathleen alluded to, the productivity of this investment is in question, right? Because A, you've already got foundries that are in place that are struggling to keep up with demand because there's a lack of skilled technical workers. And on the other side, you also have the argument that with this kind of protectionist incentive, you're actually inducing complacency and a lack of competitiveness within an industry. So what can Congress do on these two fronts to be able to make this a productive investment for the United States?
Well, look, I don't think there's any lack of competition. General Secretary Xi in China is absolutely obsessed with the semiconductor business. He appointed a semiconductor czar with $1 trillion budget over the next 10 years. And as far as the overcapacity, I don't think we have to worry about that for a long, long time. Now, the skill set, that point is a very important point. Because these, if you take, for example, TSMC's $12 billion semiconductor plant, there's 1,500 workers in that plant. 60% of them are PhDs or master's degree. And that's one of the reasons, for example, my alma mater, Purdue University, just came out with the first program to get a master's in semiconductor engineering. So this is a really important skill set that, we've got to bring back. It's also great in terms of the R&D that's in this bill. That's about $200 billion worth. And this is something where we can get economies of scale with our allies and defend techno-authoritarianism.
So in terms of the Asian picture, we've seen the likes of some of the Korean chip makers, other companies saying they're not so sure this is going to help them. How do you answer that?
Well, I think it's going to benefit them. I mean, Samsung just announced $17 billion investment in Texas. So it's certainly going to help them. It's also certainly going to help them come very close to their customers because, when you look at the customers here, the majority of them are U.S. companies. It's also going to help in terms of the skill set. So, and I think this is going to strengthen ties with our relationship with Korea, with Taiwan in particular. That's a really important aspect of this because Taiwan is a linchpin of democracy. They're a role model of freedom. Now, to Xi, what Taiwan represents, it dispels his myth that the Chinese culture can't live in a democracy.